Welcome to this month's reading challenge. The reading challenge, baby always making his presence known. He's right over there, so just bear with me. We've been doing Book of the Month for 2 years. I don't necessarily read all of them, but if I'm going to continue the service, I want to make sure that I'm actually reading them. I'm liking the books that I'm picking out. What I'm going to do is we're going to look at what I've gotten, how many I've read, all that. So let's look at that. We have received 23 books from Book of the Month. And of the books that we have read 10 out of those 23, which is 43% of the books. The books we've read are Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, The Survivors by Jane Harper, People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd, The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins, Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins, The Neighbor's Secret by Allison Heller, The Things We've Lost to the Water by Eric Wynn, The Hexex by Aaron Sterling, History of Wild Places by Shay Earnshaw, and Imposter Syndrome by Kathy Wang. That leaves 13 books we have not read: The Firekeeper's Daughter, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman, 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard, The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, Girl A by Abigail Dean, The Family by Naomi Kropinski, Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane, First Apartment by Lucy Foley, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Pinner, The Collective by Allison Galen, Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeny, Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I feel like I need to set more of a goal than just read as many as I can in a month. Realistically, there's other things outside of Book of the Month I'm probably going to want to read. We're going to set a goal, so we're currently at 43%. To get to 75% means I need a total of 17 to 18 books read, which means I'd have to read 7 to 8 more, which is still quite a bit. And I want to preface that these last 2 monthly challenges have had quite a few books in them, and I'm not always going to have, 10 books in a challenge. It'll probably be more like 4 or 5, just so that I can also read stuff kind of as I'm feeling like it. But I think this one, we're going to try and get a goal of 75%, which is about 7 to 8 books. I say 7 to 8 because 7 is like 73% and 8 is slightly over. So as long as I hit 7 to 8 books, I will be happy. I will update throughout as I'm reading the books. Book of the Month does a rating scale of disliked, liked, and loved. And we'll kind of use that as a rating scale for this. I'm over at my parents'. They're having a garage sale, a neighborhood garage sale. So they were participating, and I'm helping. And you'll get some noise because the littlest is on the ground over here. But because I have time sitting around, I took the cover off, but Pretty Little Wife. It's essentially about, as the slogan says, there's more than one way to end a marriage. I've read the first couple chapters, and it's just mostly figuring out that her husband is gaslighting her a lot, a little bit of controlling. It's the first couple chapters, nothing's really happened. As loud as you can, jump up and down.
Go people! Go people go! Go people go!
Hey!
Hey little guys!
Give them booms.
Go people!
Go people! We finished Pretty Little Wife. It's a good, typical domestic thriller. There's nothing really wrong with it. There's, some good little twists in there, nothing groundbreaking. However, one of the parts that still sticks with me, at one point she's like, I knew all along. Well, if you knew all along, and it would put loopholes in parts of the story from before. So while it's not like a critical thing, it's just overall, if we put it on the Book of the Month scale, I liked it. I just got done running, so I look a little sketch, but I started 56 Days. I started listening to the audio while I was running. We're not very far in, but it uses COVID as a plot line. It goes between today and then the time between 56 days ago. Today is one set of characters, and in the past is another set of characters, so I don't really have much other than, you know, they're learning about COVID and it's coming out and all that kind of stuff. So far I'm not really getting into it, but hopefully I'm just getting started. We'll see how it goes and I'll update you a little bit more. Sorry for the really terrible lighting right now. It's so rainy here and it's been raining for days. We finished 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard. This is a 2-star. I just never could connect with it. I never felt like I cared about any of the characters, which feels terrible to say. But also one of the things that annoyed me was the timeline. So you would experience hers at 56 days and then you'd get to 30 days with her, but then you'd go back and experience those exact same conversations and situations again from his point of view. So sometimes it felt like, but I've already read this part. And the whole conversations would be carried out. It just insert his opinion. The idea was good, but like could have been done differently to make it just, in my opinion, just more readable. There was some curveball type things in here that I felt like if I was invested in the book, I'd be like, oh my gosh, but I was just like, really? Okay. And just some of the things that happened later in the book that make the beginning of the book not quite make sense. Maybe I'm overthinking this. We're reading The Family. We're only a quarter of the way through. However, I am enjoying it. It's a little slower pace. There's not really much that's happened. It's the main characters, Antonia and Sophia, that you're kind of seeing them growing up from being small children into younger women. I haven't gotten really into the heart of the story. However, it's interesting to see how they develop and the things that have happened in their lives, how it's kind of turning out to shape them and who they become. We finished The Family by Naomi Krupinski. I don't really know how I feel about this. I'm kind of indifferent to it. It's a historical fiction, and maybe that's partially why. I do like some historical fiction, but it's not one of my top categories of books. This is about two women whose families are tied to the mafia, and it's just kind of their coming of age story. They're in the like 30s, 40s. It's good. It's not necessarily something action packed. It was a good book. I didn't hate reading it or anything, but there was nothing that was like, I want to keep coming back to it. Mark it as light because I didn't dislike it. I decided the next one for book of the month we're going to read will be Rock, Paper, Scissors. I had requested the audio version of this through my library and it's available. I like to listen and read, that way I can listen to the car. I'm hoping this is a little bit more action-packed than The Family because The Family was just kind of a slow, steady read. So we got the next book of the month box, and since we're reading all book of the month, we need to unbox the May box. And obviously I know what's in the May box. That's beyond the point. And the book of the month is Part of Your World. We'll add this to the list of book of the month books that we haven't read, but will. So this one is a romance. I love the cover. Don't really know much more than that, but it looks really cute. I've never read anything from this author before. That'll be also fun. We have finished Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeny. It's about a married couple who goes on a trip to a secluded location, and weird stuff starts happening. This was fairly slow in the beginning, and I was indifferent to it. I wasn't not enjoying it, but I wasn't super excited. However, about the last 7,500 pages, it got much better. And then when the twist was revealed, this definitely bumped up for me. The next one going to be Vanishing Half. I've heard really good things about this. I love the premise. This is about two identical twin sisters, different shared experiences of coming from the same place, but being able to pass white versus black. This one just seems really fascinating to me. About halfway through the Vanishing Half, I'm hooked. I got hooked on this very early on. It's great character building, the storyline's good, the way it flows is great. I really have nothing negative to say about this right now. This is one of those books you don't want to put down because it's just, overall, it's a fantastic book. I think what I want to do is rate these books. We'll have 8 different spots and we'll just pop them in. The first one we read was Pretty Little Wife. That one was about average, so we'll put that one in the middle. The next one we read was 56 Days. Disliked. So we're gonna put that at the end spot. Then we had The Family, which again was another little less than average. I'm gonna put it towards the bottom. And then we read Rock, Paper, Scissors. That one again was a little average. It wasn't quite as good as Pretty Little Wife, so we will put that just under Pretty Little Wife. From now on, I will start popping them in the spots. Hopefully we'll get through 8. We just finished The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. A 5-star. Loved in Book of the Month terms. I loved the characters. I love the story. I love what it had to say. I love the pacing. There's not really anything negative that I have to say about this. This one I would highly recommend. Sorry, I have kids messing with stuff. And if I was going to rate it, this is my favorite so far, so we will put this at the top. Another book that I was really excited to read that was in the book of the month was The Lost Apothecary. A couple chapters in, it's going to be a dual timeline. I'm not 100% sure. I know it starts out with a woman back in the 1700s who's an apothecary, and then it goes to modern day times about another woman. Guessing that somehow they're going to come together and have an impact, but so far nothing's happened. They've just 2 chapters in introduced the present time and the past time, but I'm excited for this one. The cover's gorgeous. This will be the sixth book, so after this, if we can get at least 2 more read, that will be fantastic.
I haven't finished Bad Food. So I got this from the book fair, and I'm on chapters 8, and so far it's really good. There's 12 chapters in it, lots of pages, 8 pages in one chapter, and yeah, so far it's going well. It's about 3 foods: skill, pizza, and tots. And they're like, they've explored the library and the pantry, and now they're in like a situation that they're kind of like getting into bad things. And yeah.
Good job, bud.
Oh, he actually read Barb. He's like, Barb.
Hey, look who's up from nap.
Somehow.
We finally finished The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Pinner. I disliked it. And I say that because, well, 1, I just disliked it. And 2, I think my level of disappointment in this is so high because I was so excited for this. I thought it had so much potential. It let me down. I'm gonna have to do spoilers to completely do my thoughts, but for now we'll stick to non-spoilers. I didn't enjoy the writing. I don't know what it was, but something about the writing didn't get me. The dual timeline, normally is something I enjoy. It doesn't bother me. It didn't work for this for reasons that will kind of explain more in spoilers, but I just felt like they were supposed to be tied together. They felt very separate, but trying to be together. There wasn't very good character development. I felt like the characters back in the 1700s were supposed to have this like bond that you were supposed to like understand, that like, again, try not to be spoiler, but there's supposed to be some kind of bond that's there but not there, that just, it didn't work for me. So spoiler alert, about to go into it. One of the things is Liza taking the fall for Nella was just like, if you had got that like bond and like reason for a 12-year-old to like make this giant sacrifice, I would understand it, but like you didn't get that bond. Just too like, and then one of the big things that really ticked me off, when Caroline's like, I'm going to do a whole thesis on this and I'm going to present this knowledge and I'm going to build my whole, you know, graduate degree around this, whatever. And she's going to leave out the facts. She's going to leave out the fact that there wasn't Eliza and that what Eliza did. And it's like, and she's like, well, I could, you know, go to the top, but that's not what I'm worried about. And I want to keep her a secret. No. What you're doing is you're making a false story. And anybody can do that. So that just ticked me off. And then I felt like there was supposed to be this tie between Caroline and that. And it just felt like there was a woman studying a past. And you heard about the past. And then Caroline came in and miraculously figured it out, but was having her own troubles. It just happened to have... It just... Long story short, did not enjoy this book. If we're going to rate it, I think we're going to have to rate it even... We're going to move this to the bottom. We're going to move 56 Days up. I think part of this is just some of the choices that people make that, like, again, that's a subjective reasoning to not like it. But also, I think that this was as much of a letdown just because of the expectations that I had for it. But I felt like the way the story flowed, the timeline, the writing just was not, in my opinion, as good as 56 Days. 56 Days, I had issues with the timeline, but it made more sense than this, and at least those timelines kind of fed into each other, and you could see those intricacies. I felt like this wanted that, but it didn't get there. Forgive how dark it is here. One, I only have some ambiance lighting for snuggly readings, and also it's some more rainy days here in spring. So anyways, we are reading Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. For some reason I was thinking this was a romance, and I started it and I was like, this, I'm not understanding, like this doesn't seem right. So I reread the synopsis. It's about a set of siblings who are famous, and it goes, again, dual timelines, so you can kind of hear about their growing up, but then they have this big party every year. This party does not go well, does not end well. Right now it's building up to the party, like we haven't got to the party yet. I'm only about 40% of the way through. So I would say the first 15%, I wasn't quite into it. But I started to get really invested in the past stories, and that helped invest in the current day timeline. But I'm very much enjoying this. Like I said, I'm about 40% through. When we're done, I will give an update. But yeah, so far, so good. And then, yeah, hopefully we can end on a better note than the last book. Here's to hoping. I just got home from the bookstore, picked up a couple of books, well, one book, big accounts for a TBR challenge coming up. And then From Bad to Curse by Lena Harper, the second in the Witches of Thistle Grove series. And then this one I've been really wanting by Blake Crouch, Dark Matter. It was the last hardback and it was beautiful. It's been a very long week and a very long day. So I'm laying down. But we finished Malibu Rising. And again, this is cute. I enjoyed it. I didn't so much like get invested necessarily in like the outcome of the story, the results of the party, I guess. I think what made this story good was my investment in the characters. I kind of got attached to them. But there was really good character building in this. The story was there. The party, you know, all that was fine and dandy, but I think it was really like the characters. I'm gonna give this a 4.5 because I really did have a good time with it. In terms of rating it, not as good as the Vanishing Half, but still pretty good. So we're gonna put it under the Vanishing Half because it's definitely above average. We're gonna read one more book, Firekeeper's Daughter. I just started this one, Firekeeper's Daughter. So that's the last one of the challenge, and then we will have hit all of our 8 books this month if I can get it finished. I have like 4 days left in the month, so I should be able to get it finished. But yeah, and then we can wrap this thing up. You untied his other shoe?
Well, yeah, you need to practice. Good so far.
That was the quickest way to learn to tie your shoe. It took you like a day. Like 4 tries and you figured it out.
There you go. There you go. You got it.
That was perfect.
Good job. That was right.
Far beyond even the most skilled Pokemon, and that is why they have had so much influence. They are Pokemon who have used their power to shape history and, in some cases, the world.
I'm in the playroom right now, so hopefully you can kind of hear me. But I realize I've not given any updates on reading The Firekeeper's Daughter. This is about a young girl who's recently graduated. The community is big into hockey and a lot of math coming into the community. She witnesses a murder and now she's trying to help solve where the drugs are coming from. I read this over like a span of 3 days. I very much enjoyed it. I was just very busy weekend, so I didn't do a lot of updating on this. This was very good. Storyline, the characters were great. Some of the things I had to say kind of about taking over Indian reservation, the effects of that, the effects of meth in just communities in general. Overall, it was a very good book, very kept me very engaged. So I gave this about a 4. I felt like it was getting a little long towards the end, which I don't know why, because I didn't feel like there was a lot of necessarily repetitive stuff in it. Overall, great book. I would recommend it. It is a YA, so for it being a YA and me typically not enjoying YA as much, I would definitely say that this is a fantastic book. This is kind of between a love and a like. Like, I'm going to give it a like, but it's kind of borderline a love. With that said, we will rank it in the 3rd spot because it's just under Malibu Rising, but definitely above Pretty Little Wife. With that being said, we have now finished all 8 books that we were going to read. So that leaves us now with 18 of the 23 books read. That leaves us 78% now of our book of the months are read. However, if you were then to take into account the fact that we got one more new book of the month during this reading challenge, that gives us 24 books. Means we have read 18 out of 24 instead of 23, which is then a perfect 75%. So either way, we are still at the goal of 75% of books read. We now have 5 of the original 23 books left. Sorry, I had to take a pause to take care of the baby, and now I have drool all over me. So my apologies, but mom life, right? This ending's gonna be a little bit of a hot mess, but bear with me, like always. I still have a goal to get them all finished. I just don't yet. So looking at the spread, there's really only 2 books of the 18 that I've read that I've disliked. Most of them I've generically liked, and some of them are higher up on the like scale versus the low scale. So we have 9 that we liked, and then 7 that we've loved. So that means we've loved 39% of the books that we've read. That's a pretty good number. And then 50% has been liked, and then 11% has been dislike. I thought I would call it a successful service, one that I would have no issues recommending. I've obviously very enjoyed it. I'm planning to keep continuing to use it and have got some really great books out of it. I think that concludes the challenge, but yeah, overall success. So we will see you in the next one.